أينما كنا أينما صرنا قلنا لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to another discussion video. Just a heads up, I am currently sick right now, so I may sound a bit different than even my usual modified voice. Anyways, today I'm going to try a nice little tag to speak on a more positive or friendly note than my last two videos. But since little in this world is all good with no bad, I'll be combining two tags, if you don't mind. That's why, in this episode, if traffic will please quiet down outside, I will be sharing my list of 5 things that I like and want to see more of in Muslim/Islamic fiction, and 3 things that I'm tired of seeing. To kick things off with something positive, I really like to see stories with non-apologetic Muslims. Stories that have Muslim protagonists who aren't apologizing for being Muslims and whose lives don't revolve around proving themselves to non-Muslims as if we need anyone's validation of our humanity. It warms my heart and brings a big smile to my face to know that there are Muslim characters being written who aren't ashamed of their Muslim identities, who practice Islam and still do whatever else they gotta do in their lives. They don't see Islam as a hindrance or impediment and don't feel the need to justify their beliefs and practices to every John, Jane, and Joe on the streets. This is something that empowers our Muslim readers and inspires our youth and doesn't leave them feeling bad for being Muslims. It's good stuff, and I'd really like to see more of it. On the flip side of that, unfortunately, there is the appeasement approach. I hate seeing this. There are so many authors out there who try so hard to appeal to non-Muslim audiences that they throw their fellow Muslims and the image of Islam under the bus. There are many recognizable tropes that will classify different stories in this category of the appeasement approach, but I'll just list a few for now. So, number 1, we have the classic poor, oppressed Muslim American teenager whose parents are immigrants from whatever country of brown Muslims and want to impose strict, harsh, backwards rules on her, either from Islam or culture, and she just wants to be a normal girl at high school. She, of course, has a crush on Chad Whiteson, the handsome, popular, blue-eyed jock whom she fears she can never be with because in these stories, white is somehow synonymous with non-Muslim. I'm gonna have to put a pin on that and discuss that another time too. That also bugs me. But yeah, white is somehow synonymous with non-Muslim in these stories, and she thinks he could never love someone who covers her hair. Yeah. Anyways. It's really absurd the length these stories go sometimes. Do Muslim teenagers get crushes and go overboard with drama sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. But the way these authors play up these coming-of-age stories where the protagonist must rebel against her backwards, quote-unquote, parents and fight for her freedom like some revolutionist, it's actually quite offensive. It sends the very same message that the bigoted Islamophobes love to spew, that Muslim girls are just oppressed victims of their religion and need some all-American white knight to swoop in and save them. Take off that scarf from your hair, put down that samosa, and let us party into the night with dancing and music. You are free, you are free. Sounds stupid, right? But that's how so many of these stories are. Another trope in this category of appeasement is the whole, I'm Muslim, but I'm not that Muslim. So here you have the guy or girl who's totally about blending in, be it in high school or college or work or wherever. Their sole purpose is to prove how, quote-unquote, normal they can be and fit in with the social status quo. If it's a guy, he'll change his name from Bilal to Billy, Muhammad to Mo, or Ali to just Al. He wants to play sports, which isn't even prohibited in Islam, so I don't know why they use that as a way of trying to show how secular or whatever he can be. And he wants to fit in with the team. He likes to party with them and do all kinds of things that a practicing Muslim wouldn't typically engage in. And if the protagonist is a woman, the first thing to go is her hijab, because hijab is in the herd or something, and she's out fulfilling stereotypes like going shopping, having gossip circles, and gushing over guys. She may go by a nickname, unless the handsome jock or businessman who flirts with her finds her real name to be exotic, in which case her heritage is treated like a fetish for him, and she's just there to look cute and prove she's not a so-called prude. She may also get involved in sports if the story is a pretend attempt at female empowerment, but it again projects the idea that for a Muslim girl to be happy and succeed in the things she enjoys, she must forsake her religion to some degree or abandon its rules to truly be worthy in the eyes of her peers. Lastly, in this category, we have the sellouts. These stories typically follow Muslim, quote-unquote, characters whose priority is in busting tubular Muslims and showing that anyone who prays 5 times a day, keeps a beard, or wears hijab and abaya is sketchy and should not be trusted. They're the main ones up front with all the undercover Islamophobes ready to accuse everyone else of being tubular just to show how patriotic they are. As a disclaimer, this is not, I repeat, this is not me being upset with actual tubular people being called out. I'm glad for that. Those people are certainly evil, and they give Islam a bad name and cause so much harm to innocent people, including other Muslims. But to constantly project this narrative that every Ali, Abdullah, and Ahmed who frequent the masjid is suspicious, and only Joe Secular, real name Yusuf, can be trusted not to commit tubular acts of error, this is a travesty, and it has no place in Muslim fiction. Going back to something positive, I'm glad to see female Muslim protagonists with more character than just being a hijabi. It's hard enough finding Muslim protagonists that actually wear hijab and aren't on a mission to prove hijab is in your heart or whatever. But then finding a hijabi protagonist with some actual depth to her character and some varying and unique struggles, bravo, that's awesome. Coming from a family with like 80% female relatives, I can attest to the fact that Muslim girls and women face a lot of different challenges in life, and they're not always wrapped up in hijab struggles. Yes, I made that pun. What are you going to do about it? No, but really, there are so many different stories you can tell about a Muslim girl other than some dilemma about wearing hijab or getting picked on for it. I don't mean to belittle the countless women who relate to such stories with that focus. I know it is a very real issue, but what I'm saying is there's a lot more there too. People have unique and complex lives, and I really appreciate the stories that don't just go for the easy way out. I want to see more stories where it's not just the quirky hijabi sidekick who wears hijab and fusses over losing hijab pins or stray hairs falling out, but rather the developed protagonist who goes on adventures, accomplishes tough tasks, faces her enemies or trials, and happens to wear hijab. You see the difference? Keep her in hijab. Make her proud of it, but don't limit her to it. Stories that give hijabis a chance to shine in various plots with a focus on the girl in the hijab, not the cloth itself. Those are my kind of stories. Bravo to the authors writing them. Keep up the good work. Number 2 on the bad side is the jinn, magic, and unseen phenomena. I've already done a whole video talking about why this is such a bad and risky topic to cover, so if you haven't already seen that, I'll put a tag here, and the link will be in the description down below. I haven't got much else to say on this other than, please stop. It's not good. I understand it can seem exciting and intriguing. Muslim authors feel like we have a counterpart to the lore and mythos of popular paranormal genres and cultures that are well known in Western societies. It can feel like you're introducing the world to something exotic and new, mysterious and mesmerizing, as you spin tales of spirits and hidden kingdoms and societies of demons and monsters. But think about it for a second. Do you really want to reduce the reality of these concepts and Islamic beliefs to mere myths, simple fables, and fabricated fairy tales purely existing for entertainment? Do you want the ideas from your professed beliefs taken lightly, twisted, played with, and treated as ludicrously as any imaginary narratives? Things Allah mentioned in the Quran, things whose knowledge only He encompasses. You want to dabble in that and make up your own little stories just so you can participate with the knockoff Percy Jackson books in Aladdin? The magic, the jinns, the supernatural stuff, all of it should be off limits and should remain unseen from any stories. On to more positivity, I've got 2 good things I applaud and would like to see more of. Diversity of ideas and diversity of characters. For the ideas, it's really great seeing people come up with all sorts of plots and stories featuring Muslim characters that don't follow the same narrative. Muslim stories that don't solely revolve around the main character getting married or being a victim of Islamophobia or balancing the cultural heritage of their immigrant parents with their own experience here in the West as some sort of coming-of-age self-discovery story. Don't get me wrong, those stories have their places and are definitely relatable and helpful to a lot of good readers, but that's not all we should have. I personally am a fan of action and adventure stories. I like epic fantasy, sword and sandal tales, with no magic of course, that are full of excitement and take you into a whole new world. Get out of here, you. Avoiding the cliches and tropes of the genres, I like stories with quests and journeys, with blood-pumping action, combat and heroism for whatever noble cause, and deep, intriguing. As I've said before, I grew up yearning for stories like that would feature Muslim characters, and I think it's still something that has yet to be fully explored by the plethora of capable authors I know we have out there. And there are others. Different romance stories to tell other than the cliche rom-com, will they, won't they plots, or arranged but I hate them, never mind, I love them stories. There are different genres we can jump into with Muslim characters and spin unique tales with some awesome Islamic flair. Sci-fi and future tech, comedy, as long as they're not joking about or mocking Islam and Muslims, mystery dramas, superhero stories, classic westerns with Muslim twists, thrillers, family dramas, social activist inspirational stories. The list goes on and on. Of course, you should probably stay away from horror, because I can already see some of you typing that J word again. Nope, not that one. The other one. That J word. Stop it. Don't write either of those. Thank you.
Alright, so you're probably not all going to like this, but I'm actually ending the video right here. The video was getting a little long, so I'm going to split it in two, and the next part will come out soon, inshallah. As for now, thank you all for listening. I look forward to seeing your thoughts and comments down below, and I'll see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الطريق طويلة لا تريد كسولا لا تريد كسولا أينما كنا أينما صرنا قلنا لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله أينما كنا